This is the new Bigme HiBreak, and is this phone worth it? Hi everyone, this is JD, your gadget review friend. Welcome back to Gadget Rev Now. E-Ink smartphone is a niche phone. Obviously, there's a market for e-reader that can also perform like smartphone with call and text functionality. So today we will talk about the budget offering from Bigme, the HiBreak E-Ink smartphone. Is this phone worth your money? Let's find out. I love the design of this phone. I mean, it wouldn't win any awards, but for someone who's looking for a good e-ink smartphone, then Bigme HiBreak is classic and minimalist. We get a plastic leatherette type back that wouldn't acquire scratches. Don't worry, because even though you have this cool pattern, Bigme also provided a case to protect the phone. The frame is plastic with volume buttons and power button on one side, nothing on top, special button on the other side, and dual microphone and USB-C charging port at the bottom. This phone is really light, one of the lightest phones I held so far, and with that shorter aspect ratio on the screen and also under 6-inch, this works really well with either small or big hands. And speaking of screen, this is the biggest conversation around this smartphone. We got a nice 5.84-inch e-ink display. It has 3 patented technology which we'll go through one by one. First is the X Rapid, which bumps up the refresh rate of the e-ink display. Second, you have the anti-ghosting, which gives you smoother scrolling effect on the phone. And third, you have the X Color, which gives you better color and contrast compared to other e-ink smartphones. The screen wouldn't win any awards because of the thicker bezels on top, bottom, and sides, but again, for an e-ink display, this looks symmetrical like what you have on a typical e-ink reader that became smaller. We have a front camera, but it's outside the screen real estate, so that's great. It wouldn't interfere with your experience of reading and even watching some content. We have what we call e-ink center that provides us control over the screen performance on each of the apps. It controls the display, and you can change it from default, magazine, comics, video, and custom. You can also change the refresh rate, choose the option for anti-check and all that. You can take advantage of this option if you're watching videos, playing games, or in an app that's more static like the launcher or reading ebooks. I think the biggest advantage of having an e-ink display is eye health or eye care. You wouldn't strain your eyes over time. That may lead to vision loss just because you're reading on a device without glare, and certainly you can turn off the display brightness on daylight. Talking about smartphone security, you have a basic password protection. You need to input 6-digit password to unlock the phone. You don't have any fingerprint sensor or face recognition, although not as high-tech as other smartphones, but still very reliable and secure. In terms of performance, this phone is just okay. It also reflects the intention of creating this niche and the price you would pay for the budget e-ink smartphone. This phone runs on legacy MediaTek MT8768CT with 6 gigs of RAM, although it was advertised to have octa-core CPU with 2.3 GHz speed. Checking Geekbench 6, it scored 204 in single core and 901 in multi-cores. So I guess the intention is clear of creating this smartphone. It's more of a pocket-sized e-reader with basic smartphone functionality. Day-to-day activity is just okay. In 1 week of using this phone, navigating and opening of apps could be better, but generally just reading ebooks and scrolling through social media with calls and text, you will be okay. We can play some light games, but anything heavier, I don't think this phone can play it smoothly just because of the processor and also the refresh rate of the screen. And comparing with other e-ink smartphones, this phone is more decent than the competition because the intention is having an ebook reader that can do calls, text, and social media. Still talking about performance, one good feature of this phone is the GPS, so you can use Google Maps and other apps that uses location. This phone precisely pinpoint your location. It was even fun using this phone as my navigation while driving. It was fun to see like a sketch like Google Maps. Just make sure to bump up the screensaver to 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Just because at the middle of Google Maps and driving, this phone will go standby to save battery. This phone is running on Android 11, not the newest Android OS, but we got useful feature on Android 11 such as permissions, chat bubbles, privacy and notification, and so on. I feel like an e-reader type smartphone doesn't need to have the newest and the flashiest Android operating system. Again, with the performance, I think it will work best to have basic OS feature, but the great thing about Bigme HiBreak is it uses Android AI to search, so even with Android 11 out of the box, we still have AI search like what the newest Android OS can offer. Now, like the performance, camera is also basic. It will not win any awards. I think this will serve its purpose taking some pictures of documents. With that entry-level processor, we cannot take advantage of those higher megapixel sensors, so understandable. Again, if we consider the e-ink display, we cannot take advantage of those higher resolution sensors because the output will be mediocre on an e-ink display. Honestly, I think this is just good enough to take pictures of documents and even taking some pictures for memories. This wouldn't replace your camera phone or DSLR in terms of professionally grade images and videos. Here, I would show you some samples.
Life has been crazy, just wanna be okay. How can I pick up the pieces when everything breaks with every day? I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay.
Now, this is the selfie video recording of Bigme HiBreak using the selfie camera in 720p 30 fps on daylight condition. This is the selfie video recording test on Bigme HiBreak in 720p 30 fps. A quick 360 for you to see the quality. Now let's check the rear camera. And this is the low light video recording using the rear camera in 720p 30 fps. Again, another 360 for you to see the quality. Again, the quality of the video is what would you expect on a budget phone. But again, for an e-ink display, I think this is good enough. Now, in terms of audio, not the loudest I've heard from any smartphones. This doesn't have a dedicated speaker at the bottom or anywhere. The earpiece on top serves as a loudspeaker as well. So I would say 50% of loudness of a typical smartphone. I think this will also take a hit if you're having an alarm, just because the sound might not be loud enough. But the good thing here is you have USB-C port, and it works really well with USB-C headphones or earphones, or even have a dongle to 3.5mm jack. We also have Bluetooth 5.0 technology, so you can pair this with a decent earbuds or headphones. Then we have a good audio output.
I think I'm gonna be.
And lastly, the battery life. Using this phone for over a week, the battery is actually decent and even strong. For a 5.84-inch phone, it has 3300 milliampere battery, which is not bad. Considering the screen technology, it doesn't need the highest milliampere, just because most of the time the screen is static when not in use. Again, on my day-to-day use, I can use this phone for a full day. Sometimes there's even 40% battery left going on bedtime. This phone can also be used to detox or if you want to limit your screen on time. The e-ink actually kills your attention span. Those doom scrolling on social media, this phone works best as an e-reader with commas functionality. Not really designed for content consumption and gaming. Again, you can still do those things but not as good as a typical smartphone. So this will save you battery life if you will not consume those. I think all in all, this is a really good and well-crafted e-ink smartphone for everyone. For kids, having that reading device for them to learn, not as fast as other smartphones to prevent them from playing games all the time. For those teenagers that want to detoxify, we are now living in a world of social media and this affects mental health as well. So a good phone to stay connected but also remove addiction. And lastly, for older people, not really tech savvy, but an e-ink display to protect their eyes. Bigme HiBreak is a really good entry-level phone. From the well-balanced feature of minimalist design, good performance and camera, and maybe a display experience that other people might like, I think with everything it offers, this phone is worth it.